A new look into Juraj Slafkovsky's summer training has some Habs fans very excited as reports from his coach in Slovakia say that his lung capacity might be up 20%. We'll be talking about that, plus some other positives about Juraj Slafkovsky. Plus, The Athletic recently did an article ranking all of the 32 teams on how much they improved this offseason, and the Habs are ranked top 10. Finally, we're going to have a little look at the preseason schedule as the preseason inches closer and closer, so stick around for this edition of Habs Digest. Let's get into it here. So, this is kind of a crazy claim, right? Lung capacity up 20%, but it's going to make some more sense once I kind of dive into this. I mean, we've spoken about the training he did in the past, that cool photo with his sunglasses, right? There's a big mask he's been wearing, but a translation from u/Holdenger, I think I spelled that, or I said that right, on Reddit. I'm going to link that in the description. It's in the Habs subreddit. It's great. Go check it out. I really suggest you have a look. They did some good effort translating it, but take a look at this. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm going to try and summarize it the best he can, but Brentanar, the coach over there who's doing the breathing training with him, I actually believe it's in the Czech Republic, but he said, I don't really understand why everyone's addressing his weight. It's easy and ableistic to say, you're heavy, you need to lose weight. If someone could analyze the context, they would see it's not exactly the problem. His problem was inefficient breathing, but it's more complicated than that. The respiratory system needs to be looked at more holistically. If one of the systems of the human body that can be trained very well, but the right limitations have to be found. It may be a small capacity, small expiratory rates, obstructive lung disorder, all this stuff, but at the end of the day, they say Slav is breathing much, much more efficiently. And they're basing that off data they collected in the measurements. So first off, I mean, we had a little bit of a look into this before, but this is awesome news because as they go on to say in the article, I'm not sure if it shows in the screenshots I have, but Slafkovsky, at times, at least as Tony Marinaro said, like on his podcast many times, as they mention it in this article, Slav looked more tired than his teammates at a lot of points, right? They said he came into camp and he destroyed a stationary bike, like it was nothing. But then when it came to actual game time, it looked like he was more tired than everyone else, and this kind of thing could be perfect for his game. Let's dive into it a little bit deeper. They asked Brentanar what they had to say about claims by Stephen Morris, a medical doctor, that there's not enough studies to confirm that this breathing method will actually work, and the coach kind of responded, he's like, well, if no one's thought of it yet, obviously there can't be enough studies yet, but they're interested in numbers, not studies. They said his lung capacity did increase by 20% over the summer. Quote, yes, it's true. Before his vacation, it was almost 20%. I don't want to say the exact figures, that's their secret, and they can't say if it'll help him because obviously you need to translate this to the ice. You can do as much as you want in a lab, in a gym, but actually seeing that translate to the ice at an NHL level is a very different story, but regardless, the fact that their numbers are showing up 20%, if we can see Slafkovsky not be as tired and maybe have that extra little push at the end of each shift, that can make a huge difference for him because, as we've said, his conditioning and his sort of feel for the North American game is something that we're really looking to see improve this coming season, and that starts with his ability to kind of regulate his breathing and have that stamina to be able to play more and more minutes at the NHL pace. So it's really awesome. But the final thing, if that wasn't enough for you, all these reports about Slafkovsky being more than ready to go for next year with this crazy stamina boost, Brentanar said they had amazing experience with Slafkovsky. What surprised me most about him was his humility and willingness to listen, adds the Czech fitness coach. And that's about as good of a review as you can get, right? Especially for a young prospect, especially someone like Slafkovsky who has shown that he has that willingness to win. He really, really wants the most out of every single shift. He really wants to succeed at the NHL level. We saw when he scores, when he gets assists, he is one of the most excited guys on the team. But to have that confidence, and maybe at sometimes cockiness, with a combination of humility and willingness to learn from coaches and really improve himself, I mean, that's kind of the perfect combo, right? We saw Slafkovsky dominate in tournaments of men when he was 18 years old. We saw him be a big guy with a big shot on the NHL ice, but he looked a little bit confused and a little bit out of breath. These things are slowly fixing themselves one by one, and it is really looking like Slafkovsky is poised to have a very, very solid sophomore season. Let's get into the second topic of today. The Habs were ranked top 10 most improved, but it's more than that. Okay, so The Athletic did a ranking of all 32 teams, which teams were the most improved, which teams kind of had the worst off season. The number one ranked team was the Dallas Stars. They were able to shed some salary while also improving their expected goals, and that's kind of how this ranking goes. And I'll just show you Montreal's ranking. And it's ninth. Their goal difference added was 5.6. and they only added $0.3 million in total salary. They brought in Alex Newhook, and out goes Jonathan Drouin and Joel Edmundson. They kind of said, yeah, it's unfortunate that Jonathan Drouin didn't quite work, but they're really excited about Alex Newhook. They paid a premium, and, the model isn't quite sold on them yet. It's easy to be optimistic after seeing how the team rehabilitated Kirby Dach. But they said the big win for Montreal, and I think this is actually a bit harsh. They kind of just say Joel Edmundson was terrible, and most of their addition in this goal difference stat comes from getting rid of Edmundson. And I get it, he didn't have a great year. He's been injured. But at the same time, to see the Habs ranked 9th in goal difference added compared to the salary brought in or sent out, that's pretty awesome, because as they mentioned at the start of this article, this doesn't include prospect development, right? They mentioned at the start of this article that there's a lot of luck, there's a lot of development of prospects, regression of older players. There's so much more that goes into how a team will actually improve or, get worse over the course of an off season. But the fact that with Montreal's moves, by this statistic, they are top 10, and they still have a ton of young guys to still develop year over year. Someone like a Slafkovsky, someone like Caufield who's going to come back from a bum shoulder, someone like Suzuki who's only poised to improve with better line mates, someone like Dach, Newhook, all this kind of stuff. You gotta think that their true ranking is actually a little bit higher. So I think that's just a really cool thing to point out, because again, like the Habs, compared to some other teams, yeah, maybe they're not the top of the list of teams when you think that, these young guys are going to take that extra step next year and they're going to be way better, but they're definitely up there. So it's an awesome stat. I'm really excited to see how much they improve. So yeah, just a really cool thing to show you guys before we get into the final thing of this video, which is a look at the preseason. And the preseason is just around the corner. We talked about the prospect challenge very recently, but now we have the preseason schedule. And oh boy, it's a lot of Ottawa and Toronto. It's going to be a lot of these teams as we approach the regular season. The prospect challenge is in mid-September, early mid-September. Of course, the preseason begins September 25th for Montreal at home against the New Jersey Devils. But boy, I'm excited. I'm just excited, right? I mean, 25th of September, it's, just a bit over 2 months away. But 2 months is not that long, guys. And the prospect challenge coming up even sooner. There's going to be training camp even before that. But it's just cool to see this schedule down, right? Like this is one of the signs. When the preseason schedule is released, that's one of the signs you're getting closer and closer to the regular season, closer and closer to games, to seeing all these young guys. I feel like the hype for this year is arguably bigger than it was for last year. Is that even arguable? I'm not even sure. Because last year there was a lot of maybe uncertainty after a terrible year before. We know we wanted some more. We had, of course, the number 1 overall pick, Slafkovsky, ready to go. But this year, we saw Cole Caufield have a 45-goal pace. We saw Suzuki, with good line mates, be almost a point per game. Obviously, when he lost his main line mates, that went down. But at the same time, like these young guys, Cayden, Guhle, Juraj Slafkovsky, Alex Newhook, the big unknown, Kirby Dach, will he continue his performance? Will Sean Monahan have an injury-free season? Seeing all these things come together, I'm just so excited for the season to start. And the preseason is when we really first start seeing Montreal's projected lineups, right? It's when we actually see the roster play. The prospect challenge is great. It's a good indicator of who's going to come maybe in the future. But to actually have these guys ready to go the end of September, it feels closer than ever. And I just figured, yeah, why not toss it in this video? It's really exciting to me, and I hope it's exciting to you. But that'll do it for this news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 6,500 subs. Very, very close. So if you could hit that button, help us hit that number in the next few days, it'd be really, really appreciated. I'm Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.